Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast. We are back again. It is us, the guys, the fellas, reunited. It feels so good and reunited because, gentlemen, this has been a really wild day in the NHL. We were not planning on recording today, but you guys messaged me on Twitter to say, should we just record today? And as such, here we are. But I think it's worthwhile because, again, this is one of the more bizarre stories I think we've seen in the NHL in recent years.
One could even call it a sensational story.
Boo!
We have an episode.
Don't you dare. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
So indeed, the three of us are back. Of course, Endo missed out on Monday's show just due to a wild schedule that he happens to have at the moment. But Endo, it is good to have you back here. And, again,
take it or leave it. No, just kidding.
It's another edition where, all right, you are our stand-in kneeler as a Leafs fan who will have the opportunity to absolutely dunk on the Ottawa Senators today.
Not really. I feel like, I don't know. I don't grief people for $20 of fucking Elon cash. Okay, so
I do it for free.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Every Leafs lost post, I have a new troll for him.
It's always just nice for
the new one's gonna be nice for Kevin LeBanc, baby.
Oh my god! And people are legitimately like liking your thing and being like, well, "Why would you trade?" Like one guy took it for bait. I'm like, "Oh my god!"
It's brilliant.
Well,
I'm like, "Get out of my head! Get out of my fucking head!"
It's funny because we were going to talk about the Leafs anyway. We might as well just bring them up right now because there's not too much to say. But they've had an interesting few days. From Max Domi looking like an absolute nerd against the LA Kings. You had Austin Matthews becoming a prime ambassador today, which I'll joke about, but that is actually really good news for the NHL and for Austin Matthews and his marketability because that drink is it's the shit. Not in terms of I will say if you want a beverage that tastes like you are downing syrup, that is the one for you.
Yeah.
But in terms of its notoriety at this stage, it's it's good to be associated with that. And then you have William Nylander doing shirtless interviews.
King.
Fun time.
Yeah, that's the Ryan Reeves influence because we had one earlier this week with Austin Matthews tarps off completely, and I think a reporter was saying like, "No, you keep it off. It's fine. It's perfect. He looks great." Quote: she said, "He looks great. It's fine. Keep it there for the interview." And Leafland is weird. That's what I'll say right now. But what's also weird? Our lovely sponsors for the podcast in Manscaped. Yeah, the premier place to trim up your nut sack. It's getting cold. It's getting real cold. Doesn't mean that
cut
you have
the hair off.
No. Doesn't mean cut the hair off.
You're killing it right now, Endo.
Keep it trim.
Keep going.
Keep it trim. You can have it long. You can have it short, but make sure it's clean. Use those products. Make sure it's kept well. Make yourself look good and feel good. Because it's cuffing season, and yeah.
I canceled all my purchases. Fantastic, Endo. Manscaped.com, the home for all your men's grooming needs. They have fantastic products. I use many of them on a very regular basis, mostly the fucking beard comb because it feels fantastic on my chin hair.
There's a lot of ways Endo could have gone about, hey, you're going to be inside a lot more often because it's winter, which opens up the opportunity for certain activities. And, you want to make sure you look your best in that regard. And Manscaped can help you.
It's cuddle weather. Make sure she's cuddling something that's not too fuzzy.
Balls.
No, make sure the only fuzzy thing she's cuddling is her plushie.
Balls.
My balls were too hot.
My balls was hot.
Dude, fuck Derek Lewis. He got arrested for going like 130 and a 50 in his Lambo this week.
Oh, God.
That
makes me
that
sad.
meme's dead. That's right.
His balls were hot.
A big shout out to our friends at manscaped.com. Again, it's code Tougie, Tougie, for 20% off your order and free shipping. That's if they continue to be a sponsor after this absurd show. Really quickly, before we kind of get into the big hockey news of like the past 4 hours or so, obviously this past Monday was a pretty difficult show for Sin and I to navigate. Endo did give me a little bit to mention that I did throughout the main topic, that being Adam Johnson's passing. But first and foremost, I want to thank the people who reached out and just wanted to mention that, hey, I thought Sin and you guys did a good job covering that, because that was something we were worried about, is covering a topic like that as best we could. But in terms of an update as well, around the league, we are starting to see more changes already, thankfully. It was noted today at Winnipeg Jets practice, 4 players have already added neck guards. The Pittsburgh Penguins, while they can't do it for the NHL, they have mandated for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins and the Wheeling Nailers of the ECHL that all players must wear neck guards. Those are now mandated. And we talked about that. It's the idea of just the sooner you mandate these things. And I'm sorry, but the NHLPA, I mentioned the NHL needing to step up. The NHLPA needs to step up as well. I get that you represent the players, but the players need to do a better job of not being selfish in this instance. And, but I'm not used to wearing it in my comfort. They need to do a better job of setting a better example for future generations that are going to play in the NHL by being that generation to say, you know what? It kind of sucks for us because we're not used to it. But I agree, let's mandate it. And that way, the kids who play in this league 10, 15, 20 years from now, it never even would have been I'm uncomfortable because I'm not used to it. They would have been used to it by default. So to the NHLPA, fucking cooperate on this and don't act like this is some ball-busting deal if this is mandated. They are just as responsible in how this plays out moving forward as the NHL is. And I needed to mention that because we're about to rag on the NHL a fucking lot. Yeah. So I felt like it was only fair to mention the PA in this aspect.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you rolled over and you didn't appeal the Shane Pinto suspension whatsoever. There's got to be some sort of backdoor deal going on there. Maybe the NHL dangling the Olympics in front of their heads. Hey, you want to go here? Shut the fuck up and take your medicine.
Could be. Be honest.
Not to mention the NHLPA appealing a hit against another NHLPA member, which is funny. That will never get old to me. You got really fucked up, but we're gonna make sure that the guy who fucked you up has a chance to get a lighter sentence.
Yeah, he has as much of a right, and it's funny because it's a Bruins player. He has as much of a right to brain you as you have to not be brained by him.
Brained? Jesus.
Well, again, fuck it. We were going to talk about it earlier. Let's talk about it right now. The Charlie McAvoy thing. And again, there's a lot of topics today, so it'll be kind of bouncing back and forth because, again, it's been a crazy fucking day. But Endo was referencing the fact that Charlie McAvoy has been suspended for 4 games. I believe, as you mentioned, there is an appeal coming because that's what happens. I mean, we saw it with Rasmus Anderson's 4-game suspension. It was appealed and withheld.
I was talking about the Anderson one, but the fact that the NHLPA is also doing it again for another hit?
I'm not sure if they are. I thought that's what you were referencing, and maybe I had missed something. But
because the one on Line A was there was an appeal sent by the NHLPA because we talked about it, and apparently if this one gets an appeal set forth as well, that will be hilarious. I mean, yeah.
So Charlie McAvoy, I mentioned this on Twitter. I didn't get a chance, obviously, to talk about it yet because it happened in between shows. In a game against the Florida Panthers, he fucking hit Oliver Ekman-Larsson in the head. Like, it is a beyond predatory hit. There's no conversation to be had about it. There won't be any freaking Bruins fan bias from me. He is lucky it was only 4 games. A lot of people are like, Charlie McAvoy really walks that line of dirty versus physical, and I'll agree that he does. If this was someone like Jacob Trouba, who does that to an even greater degree, not like comparing for the sake of being like, oh, he's not as bad as this guy. But if this was Jacob Trouba, people would have been calling for him to be suspended for the rest of the year. Or at least a Rafi Torres-esque or Shane Pinto-esque 41 games. This was a really fucking bad hit.
Yeah.
I will say, though, you got to give them credit where it's due. The DOPS, the Department of Player Safety, they've been doing better so far this season. We'll see if that holds up. We're less than a month into the season, but maybe this is. I'm not going to say for sure, but maybe this is the start of positive steps in regards to, I don't know what two of those letters stand for, player safety. Maybe this is a step up in actually protecting the players a bit more and saying, Charlie, what the fuck was that? What's the matter with you? We cannot be having players do that and think, it'll only be a game or so. Just a bush league hit, a total bush league hit.
Yeah, it has to be the new standard, the suspensions that they're going for. And I know a lot of people then brought up the, I want to say Clifton on Buffalo, who hit Heischer, but that was a very, very different hit. And I think it did only deserve the more 2 games because, again, you can look at the Anderson and McAvoy one and you can point to a lot of things. The way they hit him, elevating, targeting, you can look at context of the game for the Anderson one and in relation to the Boston one. Like, the puck was gone, man. And he followed through. It looked like he even almost made eye contact. Like he followed through, committed to that shit, and he was going to hit him up high. Now, I'm not going to say McAvoy intended to hit him in the head. I don't know the dude, but he intended to really fucking lay into him, at least, high up on his body, whether that's a shoulder, and he ended up hitting his head. And that's why it's dangerous. That's why you don't do it. And that's why he's suspended. But yeah, it needs to be the new standard of what they're starting right now. And I would hate to see them regress because it's not good. It's the typical NHL thing of trying to sweep something under the rug, an event that happens right now, and then it's going to blow up in their face, years later, possibly with more lawsuits and more bouts of CTE for these athletes, man. They got to have a quality of life. No one thinks about, I'm not going to say no one, but a lot of people don't really think about the huge ramifications that events like this have, on quality of life, especially. And if you're an athlete and you're in the moment and you're the one who gets hit, you feel invincible at all times. You have to be. You're one of the top 0.001% of hockey players in the world. You have to go out there with that killer instinct and that invincible mentality. So they have to be saved from themselves.
Sorry there, but that's why we talk about having to save player from themselves in regards to neck guards, because these guys do feel invincible. And it brings me to a tweet that former NHLer Aaron Ward put out in the aftermath of this McAvoy hit. Quote, "How are we still here? In my era, maybe we didn't know better and or didn't know what we know now. But most of us who are finished with the game are scared shitless of CTE awaiting in the next decades. These guys can do better, be better than this hit." You can't disagree with it. Yeah. You can't. Players like Aaron Ward, who are in their 40s now, who played not all that long ago, these are the guys that you have to listen to. Guys his age, even a little bit younger, especially older, that we know are going through these. We've already seen numerous stories kind of covering, and it's not just related to headshots, but the general wear and tear that hockey has on your body. We've seen Ryan Kessler talk about it. There was a piece on Zen Konopka, who was known as an enforcer in the league. I mean, these are guys in their 40s at this stage who are fucking struggling because of what they had to put their body through. There's enough wear and tear to begin with, let alone with hits like this that only exacerbate the issues. So I wanted to mention that in regards to one Charlie McAvoy, just so it didn't look like, Bruins fan, he's not talking about it. Like, no, I acknowledge it was a fucking horrible, horrible hit. The big story today is in regards to the Ottawa Senators, however, and I want to get to this right here and now because this is wild, and by the time this show is published, things could have changed. I know Sin's still very much keeping an eye on the Twitter timeline to see if anything else comes out about this. But this is an interesting story, to say the least. So to recap, not all that long ago, at the trade deadline of 2022, there was an attempted trade involving the Vegas Golden Knights, the Anaheim Ducks, and the Ottawa Senators.
I think the Senators traded him before to Vegas.
Yes,
Vegas had him on their roster for a while. Yeah.
Yes. So this comes from one Frank Saravalli at dailyfaceoff.com. More than 19 months after the NHL invalidated a trade involving the Golden Knights and Ducks at the 2022 deadline, the league punished the real culprit on Wednesday, the Ottawa Senators. The NHL announced that the Sens must forfeit a future first-round pick over the next 3 years for their role in the botched deal because they did not originally supply Dadonof's no-trade list to the Vegas Golden Knights upon his arrival in 2021. The Sens will be allowed to select which year it is forfeited, the pick, which will be either 2024, 25, or 26, and the decision must be made within 24 hours of the culmination of the draft lottery.
That is stupid. That is stupid. It should be, you have a week to decide whatever. You get to the story after this, but to give them until the draft, they basically be like, oh, do you guys want to give up this year's? You could get like a top 10 pick, or you could get another pick next year. Who knows? Like, the fact that that's a possibility for them is stupid. As separated from the fact that this is like 19 months later. But the fact that they get like the choice to be like, oh yeah, you can take next year's instead of this year's, or take 2 years from now instead of the one this year, because we could get a really, really good player this year in this year's draft. I think that's stupid. I think that's the one part of it that's completely messed up, aside from other things in this whole thing. But yeah, that's where I'm at it so far. You can continue.
I don't know. I slightly disagree with that, simply because the season's already started. For like they've gotten off to a pretty rough start in terms of turmoil and injuries. So like they're probably not making the playoffs. And for them, the NHL to like, it would seem like the NHL dropped this on them and like, all right, well now you have to forfeit your first, which is maybe going to be a lottery pick. Would be pretty friggin' harsh. I think the to me, like, the reason they're giving them this much of a choice is maybe partly because Dorian was going to be on the way out anyway, but also I feel like Sens weren't the only team involved who fucked up, man. Yeah. And we'll get to that more later. But yeah.
So to continue on, the NHL declined to further comment beyond the statement mentioning it. Back in 2022, the Golden Knights appeared to have egg on their face when on the March 21st trade deadline, the trade was nixed. Vegas agreed to send Dadonoff in a conditional second to the Ducks in exchange for the contracts of John Moore and injured forward Ryan Kessler, who was essentially retired. The deal was completed pending a trade call when sources say Dadonoff's agent balked and mentioned that Anaheim was one of the teams on Dadonoff's negotiated 10-team no-trade list. Now, I do remember our show on this, and it was like, LOL Vegas. That was the narrative at the time, is Vegas tried to do another player dirty by ignoring a no-trade clause and moving him anyway and being like, oh, there's nothing we can do. That's just how it played out, is people just being like, oh, there's ruthless Vegas again. To continue. One issue, the Golden Knights were unaware that the clause existed and had no record of receiving a list. Dadonoff stood his ground, as is his right. The trade was invalidated, and since it was past the 3 o'clock deadline, the Golden Knights were stuck within an unenviable cap situation and some embarrassment to wear. Turns out, as the NHL confirmed with Wednesday's punishment, the Sens were to blame. The root issue goes back to Dadonoff's arrival in 2021. Upon completing the trade call, as sources say is customary on the call, there was no record of the Golden Knights representative asking if the team needed to be aware of any no-trade clauses. They were told no, and no list was passed along. Dadonoff's agent provided proof that he had indeed submitted a previous no-trade list to Ottawa. The Golden Knights continued to pursue justice over the last near 600 days, and the league finally slapped the Sens on Wednesday. And of course, there is some other history in regards to forfeited first-round picks. The Coyotes had to forfeit their 2021 first rounder and a second rounder in 2020 for improper testing of draft eligible prospects. You have the whole Ilya Kovalchuk debacle of years past. For an illegal contract, the Devils lost a first round pick in 2014, only to then gain it back later. The Maple Leafs forfeited a fourth round pick in 2009 for an illegal contract with Jonas Frogren. And then famously in 1983, the Blues traded away 2 first round picks and forfeited the last 10 rounds because they didn't show up to the draft. They just didn't have representation at the draft.
That's funny as fuck.
So to recap,
the Blues tried to decentralize before the NHL.
Exactly, yeah. So to recap this, the Ducks, nothing you can really do in that situation. The Golden Knights, who were previously viewed as the wrongdoing party in this situation, technically weren't, because the wrong party in this situation were the Ottawa Senators, and now former GM Pierre Dorion, as he has been let go or officially has been allowed to resign, with former NHL defenseman Steve Stais, who was a part of that front office, taking over as the interim GM. The fact is, the Sens did not disclose to the Golden Knights before moving him to the Golden Knights that he had an existing no-trade clause. So Vegas could only operate with the information that they had. It makes me wonder at the time what cap friendly would have looked like.
Well, careful, because everyone would call you an idiot.
Oh,
careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got fucking hate. I got burned by so many different burners for fucking suggesting that. Why don't they all use all the resources too? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, Cap Friendly has it all listed. You can't obviously see all the teams that is on the no trade clause, but it was listed that he would have that. And so, yeah, I don't know. For me, I would double and triple check all my resources and be like, oh, it says here that he has this thing. Can you check your records further?
Right.
So
yeah, you'd think that would have been the solution in the situation, right? You would think, at the very least. So it's spicy enough that you get this kind of deal. It gets spicier in a minute. It's worth noting, by the way, the Vegas Golden Knights put out a statement today saying, "We appreciate the league's diligence on this matter and respect the decision. The club will have no further comment." Which basically reads as LOL Pierre.
And also we got the league to fucking give us what we want again.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some ways. In fairness, this instance,
this one's at least not as tantrumy as the last one.
Yeah.
Where we allowed 4 goals. The penalty maybe shouldn't have been a penalty. And then also, the NHL apologized to us, but they apologized to no one. We're special.
Oh, I don't know, Rick. Ooh.
Oh, did I go Morty right there?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, jeez, Rick. Here in Vegas, we take our hockey seriously, man.
I didn't hear this, Morty. What the fuck, Morty? NHLPA is going to be with a license, with a fucking fee, Morty. I can't pick for first round. I lost the pick.
The Rickle pick.
Well, that's the new episode.
Rickle pick.
Fucking hell. So, I want to talk about Pierre Dorion for a second before talking about Sens owner Michael Andlauer. Because in more recent times, post-passing of Eugene Melnyk, Pierre Dorion had been rebuilding his reputation as, maybe he actually wasn't as bad of a GM as it looked. He had been the GM with the Sens for 7.5 years. And especially recently, it's, they got Stützle, Tkachuk, Sanderson, Shabbat, Norris, all these guys locked up to long-term deals. The core's in place. They brought in Giroux. Didn't work with DeBrincat, but they still tried. And man, all of a sudden things are looking good. And now this one thing just tears it all down. And he has to be, and at the same time is the rightful fall guy in this instance. It's just kind of crazy because I do think he was building a good thing. And who would have thought that Evgeny Dadonov would have been the fall of Pierre Dorian?
He's right now. He's screaming into the void. Dadonov!
Yeah, who's your daddy? There you go.
Fuck. Yeah, it really kind of sucks because it did seem like Pierre was. It almost seemed like he was cuffs off, and he was starting to make moves that he wanted to make, and the Sens were looking much better. And it's really unfortunate that it came down to this. But yeah, this type of shit can't happen on any level. Again, this isn't a fucking sports league.
Oh, well, it gets worse in regards to the NHL isn't the real league. And that brings us to the comments today by the Senators owner, Michael Andlauer, who, if you would recall, has only recently taken over the Sens. Now, today was a big day for him to begin with, by the way. He sold his 10% minority interest in the Montreal Canadiens today at an estimated value of $2.5 billion, I believe is what it was. It says Andlauer has sold his 10% minority interest in the Canadiens at a $2.5 billion value. It's a record valuation for a standalone NHL team.
Jesus.
So this is a very rich man in general. He buys the Sens officially on September 21st, 2023. Yes.
For $1 billion. Sorry. I couldn't help it.
It was actually $950 million was the final.
That doesn't sound as good, Tougie.
We round up here. That's too little.
Yeah. Canada dollars, it's $1 billion.
Oh, yeah.
Might be a couple, man, at this point.
Honestly,
yeah. A couple billions.
Dude, I'll tell you what, though. I love going over to Canada to eat food. It's so cheap.
Is it? Fuck.
It's honestly fun.
Food is so expensive here, man.
Yeah, I love.
That's why I like going to Finland, dude. Food's cheap as fuck there compared to here.
And I love getting my invoices for our sponsorship payments because it's always like, oh, I can get like maybe a chicken nugget, singular.
That's not true because you get paid in US, so you're actually getting paid a lot.
Fair enough. I can get like 2 chicken nuggets with Canadian currency over there. Yeah, 2, at least 2. On a good day.
So the controversy with the Sens, beyond just the crazy thing that Pierre Dorian is no longer the GM, is this. Quote, Sens owner Michael Andlauer says the NHL did not advise him of either ongoing investigation regarding the Sens, which was the Dadonov no-trade clause incident and the Shane Pinto sports betting incident, before he closed on the purchase of the team.
Oh, that's
further
bad.
Quote, maybe they didn't want to disrupt the sale to make sure the seller got the best price possible. The seller being Eugene Melnick's daughters at this stage.
Oh.
So Michael Andlauer, the owner of the Sens, openly speculated that maybe I wasn't told about this because they thought, oh, I might not offer as much money for the team anymore.
Yeah,
it's valid. Don't fuck with a rich man and his money, man. Like that's what they care most about is how much they can collect and the value of stuff that they can buy with it. And
this man just got $2 billion. Like, sorry to interrupt. Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, it's fine. I hope that he continues to do this shit because the NHL needs to be held accountable. And if you go to buy a house and someone died in there, you have to disclose that. You have to disclose these things that go. You have to disclose mold and everything. Tougie is a homeowner. He probably knows more about this than I do. But these are all things that have to be disclosed.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I was buying a business and they were like, nah, it's fine, dude, everything's cool, and I buy it and then I get sucked into lawsuits and ongoing litigation, that's fucking illegal.
Thanks, Dana.
Yeah. Yeah, like
man.
he has every right to be pissed, and the people who are like on this weird side of like, well, you know, you bought it, it's your problem now. It's like, bro, you could use that fucking logic against Vegas. Where's that energy? You traded for Dadenoff. You didn't do your due diligence. Where's that energy? And then you got Sens fans who are the hypocrites on that flip side, who are saying, they should have done their due diligence. Wow, we have our first taken away. So everyone sucks.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a weird situation that kind of relates to this. So you're saying how, like, oh, you bought it, you get it, whatever. A family member of ours bought a house, and we were moving stuff into the new house and everything. And we go to the basement, and it was like, there's this random thing in the basement. We're like, what the hell is this? And I'm making a joke, oh, it's probably like a gun or something. They're like, oh, whatever. We laugh it off. Day later, we get a call back, and it was like, yeah, remember how you said it was a gun? Yeah, it's a gun. So it's like. Yeah, it's the same shit. Like, you have to tell people what the fuck is there. You have to disclose everything, or else that's just foul trade. And I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know, he finds a way to be like, yo, I paid 2 billion Canadian essentially because of how fucking crazy the prices difference is. Give me some of that money back or some shit like that. Like you said, don't fuck with billionaires and their money. They love money. How do you think he's a fucking billionaire?
I just think it's so funny for the NHL who need people like this involved in their league. And this is how you start off that relationship less than 2 months into it. That is some shrewd business there, Mr. Bettman. Some very, very shrewd business. So again, you punish the Sens. Think of the logic here. You punished the Sens for withholding information during a transaction.
I know.
While you yourselves were withholding information from Michael Andlauer during a transaction.
Wow.
The NHL rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah, they must sacrifice a first round pick now.
Holy God. In regards to the question too, Andlauer was also asked and said this, you'll have to ask the NHL why it took a year, this investigation, and why I inherited this is beyond me. There was no reason for this investigation to even last this long. He also said he received a 73-page report that showed the hockey club was, quote, negligent in nature in regards to the Dadenoff trade, and that is what led to the this was deemed as the last straw for Pierre Dorion. He also mentioned that he won't be filing an appeal because he views it as a, quote, futile exercise. He doesn't even want to deal with it. He doesn't want to deal with Gary's bullshit. That's what that means.
What a good guy.
This. You're not worth the time. You're not worth the headache. Fuck it, whatever. I'm moving on. Michael Andlauer.
Yo, he is endearing himself to that Sens fan base right now.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is great. He's taking shots at the NHL. The Sens are gonna love him for that. He's sticking up for the players. The Sens fans are gonna love him for that. Like, just in such a small amount of time, this guy's gonna be the people's hero. And I'm happy for Sens fans in that regard because they've had a lot of bullshit over the past couple decades.
Mm-hmm. Now, Andlauer was also quoted in saying this, and this is a spicy one.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're talking about the Dadenoff thing, but you also see him comment on the Shane Pinto thing. Quote, you look at a young man, Shane Pinto, who is making millions of dollars and representing the community, but he's 21 years old. Wayne Gretzky goes on MGM and talks about betting. Think about being injured and having time on your hands and a cell phone.
Dude, mic drop. Fucking mic drop.
Literally calling out the NHL's direct ties to betting and saying, but you're going to hand Shane Pinto a 41-game suspension for something that you refuse to clarify. You refuse to put out exactly what happened. You put out a very vague statement. And now it's still, well, he's gone for 41 games. And again, the Sens owner being like, oh, you're suspending one of our guys for gambling-related activities. But look at what you're promoting all the time. I fucking love this man. This is the type of billionaire that you bootlick. Fuck Elon Musk and his fucking drugged out ass. Did you see pictures of him on the Joe Rogan podcast, by the way? I saw a picture that was him from like 5 years ago to now. That dude's on death's door. Fucking go to rehab, Elon. Jesus Christ.
When you make a $44 billion purchase of a website, change literally everything about it, and then end up apparently losing like an insane amount of value within a year. Apparently,
it's a
the value
of
of
50%.
Yeah, like it's. I saw somewhere it said it was bought at $44 billion, and now it's like worth $4 billion, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's probably an overestimation. A number more close to probably where it's at is like 16 to 18 billion, which is still absolutely fucking horrific. If I lost that in a year, I would. Ugh.
I'm never going to financially recover from this.
Oh, you will not, sir. Yeah, put another fucking rocket in the fucking space, buddy. Whatever. God.
Michael Andlauer, though, just gloves off less than 2 months into owning a team, being like, well, this is fucking bullshit, isn't it? I give him a lot of credit for not just going about this in the politically safe way and just being like, nope, here's what I think about this situation. And Sin, like you said, it is very much going to endear himself to Sens fans at this stage, because Sens fans are pissed. And look, I think they should be. Was there a front office fuck up? Yes. Should Pierre Dorian have lost his job? Honestly, probably. It would have been tough. Should the NHL have handed out some form of punishment? Yes. At the same time, their consistency or lack thereof when it comes to doling out these punishments to teams is also being called into question. Because I mentioned earlier, the Arizona Coyotes forfeiting a first-round pick for essentially improper workouts, which, I mean, if you want to really go down the line of tampering, the league is built upon tampering when it comes to draft picks and the information that's out there. When it comes to free agency, boy, isn't that crazy how on July 1st, every single year at noon, these deals are announced. These multi-million-dollar, multi-year deals with incentives just happen to get worked out in like half an hour.
Yeah, crazy that Suter and Parise went to the same place.
Yeah, on identical deals.
I know.
I can see how they would have worked that out in like a 24-hour span or so. No, it's fine. Come on now. The biggest thing that people are bringing up in regards to this is the punishment, or lack thereof, that the Chicago Blackhawks had imposed upon them in the aftermath of the Kyle Beach investigation's conclusion.
Yes,
where you will recall it was a no draft pick forfeiture, but a $2 million fine that they have already recouped tenfold as a result of Connor Bedard becoming a Hawk and season ticket sales fucking skyrocketed.
Yep. In 48 hours of the lottery, they made back those $2 million. Beautiful.
The only defense I have seen anybody try to come up with here to be like, oh, this is why the Sens deserved a harsher punishment, is because, it was a front office thing. It was a hockey ops thing. You're saying that the standard should be a front office transactional fuck up is worse than not properly reporting sexual assault.
And not only giving that person a boost.
That is the argument people are trying to make online in defense of why Chicago didn't get as heavily punished as the Sens are right now.
Yeah, not only not reporting it, covering it up for 10 years, and literally facilitating further assaults by giving that guy recommendations to work with children.
Correct.
The Blackhawks organization is directly responsible for the sexual assault of children. Full stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, there'll be a lot of Hawks fans who are like, blah, 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 and the people that are gone. Again, while Rocky Wirtz passed away this summer,
they're a blue blood
people haven't
family.
forgotten.
They're still in there.
People have not forgotten his response a year to the day of the news coming out where Mark Lazarus asked him, what have you done since? And his infamous response, we're moving on. I'm not going to talk about it. I'd like to think there will obviously be some unreasonable Hawks fans because that's just life. There are unreasonable people. But for anybody that's not a smooth-brained fool, you'll realize just how this does not add up and just how, frankly, absurd this is at this stage and why it lends credence to people's thoughts of certain teams getting favoritism above others. Because if the role, this might not be fair to do. I will openly acknowledge that. But I cannot help but wonder if the roles were reversed. Would the punishments be the same? If the Ottawa Senators were the organization to have covered up the Kyle Beach story, and Chicago did this whole not properly notifying a team about a no-trade list, would Chicago have suffered the same punishment as the Sens are now, and would the Sens have suffered the same $2 million fine that Chicago did?
Absolutely fucking not.
That's the way it feels, man. I get it. I can't say it for sure. It's a hypothetical, but that's the way it fucking feels.
Yeah. Like you're 100% right. Like they would probably get the same fucking punishments that they have right now, just for those things being reversed. Because honestly, like, again, the Blackhawks benefited from the cover up. You could say the whole team didn't benefit. No, like that was from the top to the bottom organizational cover up. Mm-hmm. Ownership knew about it. Managers and coaches knew about it. Fucking players knew about it. Mm-hmm. There's no way you can't. Things are being shouted to him on the ice regarding what happened. People blaming him for being assaulted, pretty much, making him, feel even worse about being assaulted by victim blaming him and then calling him gay for being sexually assaulted. Mm-hmm. And you're telling me the captains of that team don't know that's going on? You're a fucking idiot. They absolutely do. They absolutely swept it under the rug. They had to win now. So nothing happened. Those cups that they won throughout that period during the cover-up, they're still intact. Names aren't struck off that. They don't get those taken away. They don't forfeit a first rounder. They get handed a generational fucking talent, the best prospect since McDavid. And the only thing that they had to do, they had to fire the people who covered up sexual assault. Oh no, they got fined $2 million. Meanwhile, the Blackhawks, as an organization, are at least worth $1 billion. That's probably way underestimating. Rocky Wirtz net worth, I forgot what it was, but it was obviously in the fucking billions.
Yeah. From Forbes.com, the Chicago Blackhawks net worth is, as of December 2022, calculated at $1.5 billion.
So that is less than 1%. No. Wait. Math. Yeah. It's 1,000 millions. I know. Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
So this is a set. You know what they got, everyone? Since you all hate the DOPS, they got maximum allowable under the CBA. Mm-hmm. For covering up sexual assault. And those of you who are Hawks fans and desperately want to enjoy Bedard, you're gonna enjoy him. No one can take that away from you. Oh. But fucking you should feel grossed out at the same time. You can do both things. I'm going to enjoy Bedard's career. I'm going to feel grossed out that he's in a Hawks uniform because he shouldn't be. They shouldn't have had that pick. And for those who would say, well, it would be the 2022. No, they were fined after the 2022 draft.
Yeah. Again, I think Sens fans are perfectly right to be frustrated here. I think everyone is kind of rightful to be frustrated because you got to remember, too, this is a league. We talk about the faults of it all the fucking time. This is a league that continues to deny the link between concussions and CTE. primarily to protect themselves from potential legal matters. Meanwhile, players like Aaron Ward are on Twitter being like, hey, yeah, this is fucked up. We're all worried about this. Meanwhile, a 19-year-old player in the QMJHL by the name of Lane Hinckley has been forced to retire due to a brain lesion that was discovered, as well as concussions. He was asked about this, and his quote was, "Too many hits, too many punches." That is a 19-year-old whose hockey career has been taken away because of the inherent risks of the sport. Right?
And because people didn't protect him from himself. I know it's his choice to hit and fight, but we went over this. Sorry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to that point, we talked about the NHL's responsibility at the highest level to set the standard. And if they're not going to be able to enforce neck guards will never be a huge thing. It'll be down to personal choice. As if, and again, there are some fucking psychos out there, but as if Matt Petgrave was like, yeah, I'm all right with being on the opposite end of an incident where someone died. He didn't fucking choose that. The person who cut Clint Malarchuk did not choose that. The person who cut Richard Zednick did not choose that. You talk about the inherent risks of the sport. The NHL, at the highest level, if they're not acknowledging that, playing our sport comes with significant health risks, such as what we all know it entails, but legally they refuse to acknowledge, then there are some people out there who will just be like, well, it's not that big of a deal then, because the NHL doesn't acknowledge it. I'm hesitant to call those people stupid. The proper term is probably more misinformed, right? Let's be honest. But the fact is, there will be people out there. There'll be parents out there, kids out there, who legitimately do not understand the full risks because the biggest sports league in the world for that sport refuses to acknowledge it. That is just a fact. To end this on a potentially entertaining note in regards to the Sens, there's a name that's floating out around. Oh, hold on. Breaking news. The WHL. The WHL has announced today the adoption of mandatory neck guard protections for all players effective Friday, November 3rd.
Oh,
the WHL.
Good job.
Good fucking job to the WHL. Again, to repeat, the adoption of mandatory neck guard protection for all players is effective as of this Friday, November 3rd. Just announced by the WHL. It's also on the CHL.ca website. This is proper action. This is proper action in response to, again, a fucking tragedy, and these are the steps that need to be taken moving forward. So props to the WHL, and that gives me some optimism, certainly, that this will not be the last league that we see moving forward. That is tremendous fucking news. Do we still want to joke about Peter Chiarelli's name being out there in regards to being the Sens new chief?
Peter Chiarelli!
I think we have to.
The seal of approval. If this Tougie, I'm going to say the asset for that. It is the logo with the Peter Chiarelli seal of approval. If that is not on the thumbnail, I'm going to resign from this fucking podcast. I swear to God.
Tougie.
That's a...
Don't put it on. No, I'm just kidding.
Fuck off.
I love you. I love you.
I love you too, man. Son of a bitch. No. Honestly, like the fact that Chiarelli's name's being thrown out there is fucking comical. Man, I bought Twitter Blue just to do the fucking ha 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 and use all the characters for it. It's fucking great. I'm not even joking.
You bought Twitter Blue just to do a wall of ha's.
Yes. Not financial
wrestling finishing move, by the way.
Not my financial advice.
The wall of ha's.
Yes. It's like 3,000 characters of just ha's. And then at the end, this league is a joke. There you go.
So
it's great.
Peter Chiarelli, obviously, we don't know for sure, right? His name's being floated out there.
I feel like it always gets floated out there, and I think people just do it to fuck with it.
He won a cup in 2011, and he is just riding that wave to the grave. Like, dude, he could be on his deathbed at 105, and there will still be a team going, you know, what would Pete do in this situation? I fucking love him for it. I don't know how he's done it.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah, it's that whole it's the old boys club. It's the coach carousel. It's all one and the same essentially.
It's beautiful.
Like, these same people are always like, that's, you know, the game. They're always preaching how the game changes like all the time. Like, so why don't we acknowledge that when hunting for coaches and GMs?
No,
Like,
they know.
you sure this guy covered up sexual assault, but he also won 3 cups, you know, in that time. Sure, this guy has fucking ruined a couple franchises, but he won a cup in 2011. Sure, young players hate this guy, but you remember what he did to the Blue Jackets. Like, come on, man. The game has changed.
I love Peter Chiarelli. That's all I can say. Won the Bruins a cup, and now somehow, despite his god-awful tenure, literally his Wikipedia page starts off with Peter Chiarelli, born here, done this. Both of his tenures as general manager ended with his being fired, with his Oilers managerial career, in particular, a source of controversy. That's in the opening paragraph of who Peter Chiarelli is. It's just, yeah, he fucking sucked in Edmonton, didn't he?
It's like, man, he sucks, but you've heard of me though. Like,
You have heard of me.
You are, without a doubt, the worst pirate I've ever known.
Oh my god.
That's a good meme.
God. All right, no, the thumbnail needs to be Peter Chiarelli riding the boat down as he steps onto the dock out of Los Senator's managerial office.
Oh my god.
Or you got to have the fucking Sens logo on the pier.
Oh my god.
Fuck me.
That's so good.
So
That's
beyond that, we do have a couple other things to talk about here on the show. Unless you guys had anything else to add about the Sens, but I feel like you can't really top comparing Pete or Chiarelli to Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh
No,
man.
that's a new high for the show right here. We're hitting milestones today, boys.
God. We do have one viewer question in to kind of break up some of the hockey talk. And it's in the aftermath of Sid and I's conversation about Sneak King and the Burger King versus McDonald's thing.
Oh man. I saw that you guys were like, I listened to the near end of the podcast as you guys talked about the what happened to the incident overseas. And that's I'll just refer to it as because it's an incident. It's unfortunate. You guys talk about Hungry Jacks.
We did.
And you just were you preaching the holy gospel that is Hungry Jacks to a sin? Oh my god.
This is why I told him you need to start hanging out with us on stream when we play FIFA in lieu of playing NHL because it's terrible. This is why you need to play FIFA with us because you discover the magic of something like Hungry Jacks. So it's a good time. The question that we have here, just as Burger King had a few games around their mascot, if you could have any mascot star in their own video game, who would it be and why and what type of game? Now, I want to elaborate on this too because there's quite the history in video games of mascot games. Now, obviously, you have your Pac-Man for Atari, your Sonic, your Mario. That is what it is, but I'm talking about literal mascots. Games made to advertise existing brands. One of the more famous ones is a game by the name of Cool Spot.
Yeah, Cool Spot.
Which was a platformer designed around 7-Up, the soda. Soda! Their mascot, Cool Spot, who was a red circle with glasses.
He was sick, man.
There are other ones along, like Chester Cheetah for Cheetos had his own game.
Oh, he did? Shit, that was gonna be mine. God
Chester
damn it.
Cheetah. Too cool to fool, baby.
What?
Yeah. Look it up. Too cool to fool. He's the coolest.
There was a Chester Cheetah, 1992 game for Super Nintendo, as Endo mentioned, Too Cool to Fool.
Yeah.
With Chester Cheetah.
That game sucked.
It does. That game's shit.
CD-ROM, so does it count? I can't shoot. Yeah.
It counts.
It counts.
Domino's Pizza had a mascot in the 80s and 90s known as the Noid.
Yeah, avoid the
steal
Noid.
pizza, and he had his own video game as well. There's a lot. The Kool-Aid Man had his own video game. I figured
most
80s.
of these happened in the 90s and yeah, the birth of video games, especially on the CD-ROM, like for computers.
And of course, this is my choice. If any mascot could star in their own video game, bring it back. We're in the age of remasters. Bring back Pepsi Man.
Oh my god. Dude.
Oh my god.
The greatest video game of all time, Pepsi Man.
Pepsi Man.
That is the song from it.
Fuck, is it like GTA?
No,
he's just collecting Pepsi. Okay.
Yeah.
So, it sounded like getting in a car. I was like, what the fuck? Pepsi Man just coming around and jacking your rides. And
there is an actual part. This is like at the height of the Coke versus Pepsi war too. So at one point there is like at one part of the level you're running away from something instead, and there is a Coke truck, literally just a Coke truck. It's
Crash Bandicoot. Just Pepsi version.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay. Instead of collecting the what were the fruits called in Crash Bandicoot?
Wampa fruit.
Wampa fruit. There you go.
Yeah.
Instead of collecting those, you collect cans of Pepsi.
and you collect them.
But I saw the view, and at least it's a view that makes sense. You're running forward.
Yes.
God.
Well, there are a few levels in Pepsi Man where you're running towards the screen, and it's almost fucking impossible.
Yeah, because who designs a game like that? I'll never play Crash Bandicoot.
The Japanese!
Said it, motherfuckers. Fuck your classics.
Any other suggestions? I know we took Sins away.
Oh, man.
I had a backup. Now I gotta remember it.
Well,
so go, Endo.
I think that right now we're in the weird era of putting active mascots into dating sims, because there is a Colonel Sanders dating sim. I'm pretty sure there is a Wendy's dating sim, and it's just that whole thing. So I'm trying to think outside of the box here. Who is a mascot that I would like in a video game or a rebirth of a video game? Give me the bee from Honey Nut Cheerios. They used to have games for the bee. Like online games. There was actually a way back in the day. What?
Honeycomb.
The honeycomb guy? No.
I thought you were talking about B movie for a second.
Oh.
And I'm like,
what B are you talking about?
The B, I want
jazz?
B movie. Yeah, exactly. Like the Guitar Hero version of B movie, where it's just all jazz music.
Just playing.
Oh my god.
Sax Hero.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, we have Trombone Champ, so like that could probably work too. Jeez,
That game is so fucking good, by the way.
Trombone Champ.
I couldn't believe it. It was on sale on Steam earlier this year, and I finally bought it as a joke for the fiance, who, of course, as I mentioned, is a music teacher, and we were dying. We were fucking dying laughing at Trombone Champ. It is so funny.
So good. Yeah, but I wanted like a, because I remember all these Flash games when I was a kid. I know
Badger.
That
wasn't a game. That was just a fucking loop.
Ah, man, that's Mr. Weeble, wasn't it? Jesus. That's from a long time ago.
Stickdef.com had some hilarious games, dude.
Yeah. Like YTV had a bunch of games. It had like a Fruit Loops game where you had to like jump like
all right,
on
well,
top
I've got
of other
mine
things.
now.
Yeah. And they had like, I remember way back when they had a comic for the Honey Nut Cheerios bee, and everyone everyone would troll and like use some of the letters, make it look like the bee has like a dick with like some of the Cheerio pieces, and it was just so much griefing on there. It was wild. But yeah, I'd go with the bee. I don't know his fucking name. What's the name of the Honey Nut Cheerio bee name?
I don't know if he has a name, man.
Honey Nut
Buzzbee.
Oh yeah.
Evolved the buzz. I have an answer actually before Sin here. GTA, but the G stands for gritty. I want gritty Theft Auto.
Oh my god!
There's a mod for that on GTA.
Probably.
With how old that shit is now, like there has to be a mod that makes your guy fucking gritty.
God, that or I want like I want all sports mascots, but specifically if I had to choose, it would be NHL mascots in the style of Mortal Kombat.
That's pretty good.
I want to just be able to uppercut someone's head off and watch him fall into the spike pit.
Dude, Sharky's his finisher would be amazing.
Can you imagine how cool like the individual stages would be for each of the NHL mascots too?
That's
like the creativity
rad.
You could have, aside from like, well, yeah, even like Carlton the Bear for the Leafs, it could be a fucking Antarctic stage, an igloo or some shit. Like there's so many cool things you could do, which is why it'll never happen. On top of the blood and gore.
Yeah. I had 3 really good ideas by this point. Number 1, a horror game featuring Ronald McDonald.
Dude, that exists. That exists.
I don't know, man. An RPG as the Bud Knight. Or a football game as the Wells Fargo horses. A full-fledged football game where you could be the horses.
That is wild.
We have fun here.
Yes.
We have fun here. All right. Well, a big thank you for that question. That was a fun one. Let's keep these up. No more of the, hey, what's your favorite obscure... Like, we've answered all those. Give us hypotheticals like this nonsense. This is the good type of nonsense.
Also, stop asking us wrestling questions because there was a podcast dedicated to fucking wrestling questions. What you do with Tougie and Sin. No, not Sin. Tougie and Crash. Sorry. Sin can be on there maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Like, save that for the second turnbuckle, okay? Whenever you guys record it, because it seems you guys do like one every month.
There you go. Yeah, we're trying to get it to be a bit more consistent.
Yeah.
And in terms of some other topics really quickly, it is the 1st of November, our first show of a new month. And as I still like to do, I like to talk about awards and where we think certain favorites might be. Also, again, more breaking news. This one's not NHL related, but I want to implore people to tonight throw a chair in honor of Bobby Knight, the legendary NCAA basketball coach. It was just announced he passed away at age 83. And I'm bummed out about that because that guy, talk about somebody my age growing up and shows like Best Damn Sports Show and the clips of like playoffs and sports memes. Bobby Knight was one of the original like sports memes of, can you believe the shit he did? He fucking yeeted a chair across the court once. Shout out to Bobby Knight. But we like to talk, sorry about the off topic. This is a weird show anyway. This is what happens when I'm doing yard work and you guys like, hey, you want to do a show? It's like, I'm fucking tired. Ready for bed. In terms of the NHL awards, though, I figured we could kind of talk about who we think some of the favorites might be now that we're 10 games or so into the season. The first month is done. And it kind of gives us a chance to talk about individual players and some of the races that are going on already in regards to scoring and such. And let's start off with the Calder, the Rookie of the Year race, because this was one that was certainly being viewed as well. It's probably one guy that's gonna get it done, but there is quite a bit of competition for this award right now. Mm-hmm. When it comes to scoring for rookies, leading the way currently is Ottawa Senators forward Ridley Gregg with 7 points in 8 games. You have Bedard with 6 points in 9, 4 goals, by the way. I don't think Connor Bedard's hitting 40 this year, guys. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Slow start.
Yeah. I had more faith in him.
It's been a rough time in Chicago.
Disappointment. Bust.
Generational
talent, my ass.
Generational bust.
Bust Dard.
Connor Bustard.
It's that picture where it's like Squidward pointing and it says bust.
You need to make that.
Yeah.
You have Bobby Brink up there for scoring. Someone who is a little bit underrated right now because of where he plays, Pavel Mintyukov. For the
I was going to say Leo Carlson.
You guys said two names at the same time, and I missed
both. And they both play on the Anaheim Ducks. It's great.
So Endo said Leo Carlson,
yes.
who is outside the top 10 in scoring. I mentioned, though, their defenseman, 19-year-old Pavel Mintyukov, who he's been fantastic, man. He has 6 points in 9 games. Defensively, he looks really solid. Like, there's a lot of people mentioning this kind of comparison already, and I have to agree with it. Almost Moritz Seider-esque in terms of like how complete and well-rounded his game looks already. Super small sample size. But he is definitely a name to keep an eye out on. Also top 10 in scoring, Luke Hughes on the Devils, Logan Cooley, Boston Bruin, official Boston Bruin, no getting sent down right now, Matt Patra, Adam Fantilli, Luke Evangelista, and Marco Rossi round out the top 10 currently at the moment. First and foremost, dude, what a rookie class this is. This is going to be fun to follow along all season long. I don't know who the favorite is right now. It's still probably Bedard based off of reputation. And because a guy like Mintyukov, a defenseman, has to put up an absurd amount of points to even get consideration. But this is going to be a really fun race. This is not just Connor Bedard winning this foot race by 100 meters. Like he's got competition this year.
Yeah, it's pretty sick to see. I think Bruins fans have every right to be excited about Patra because, like, dude, he came in impressed in camp, but that happens to a lot of guys who then disappear. I mean, think of the Leafs in Minton. Everyone was so hyped, and then he goes up against NHL competition. He can't quite hack it. He's playing fourth line in his 8th game, and he's back. But Patra, dude, like, he has such a complete game at such a young age. It's wild to me. It's absolutely wild. You do not see that all the time in 19-year-olds. Now, is he going to get that Calder? Can he keep up in points? Now, the advantage that he may have against some of the other guys, he's on a much better team who's having a much better season so far. But then again, maybe less ice time because, well, there's more better players on that team too. So it's kind of a lot of different edges to that, but I think he shouldn't be overlooked. He could just be having a hot start and, considering, but something that the Bruins have always done is sometimes lucking their way into these fucking studs while completely screwing up the early picks.
You guys, man, I don't know how you do it. Yeah.
You son of a bitch, you motherfucker.
You're a liar, you're fake, you're a coward. Get over here.
I had no expectation for him at all. It's like, okay, it's a guy who scored really well in junior. Like you said, you kind of see players like that all the time. And then to have him make the team, it's like, oh, okay. And now to have him through 9 games look really good, it's like, oh, okay. I mean, it's been a really pleasant surprise.
It's that meme with Vince McMahon just like, oh. And he makes that one cut and just
fuck. Well, that's another Photoshop we need is my face reacting to Matt Patra.
Fuck.
I wanted to mention some of the rookie goalies as well really quickly because that is,
is Dostal a goalie rookie?
Yes. So right now there are 3 rookie goalies that have solid numbers. So in terms of the actual rookie goalies that are out there, Sam Urson for Philly, it's been rough. Peter Kochetkov for Carolina, shockingly rough. Arvid Soderblom for Chicago. Caden Primo in Montreal has a game played. Devin Levi has 4 games played, but it's been a rough start for him.
Yeah, it has.
So then the goalies that have played multiple games, Joel Hofer on St. Louis, 2 games with a .913 save percentage. Lukas Dostal in Anaheim, 5 games with a .921.
Yeah.
279 goals against average. And then technically a rookie, Joseph Wall for Toronto, 5 games played, a .942 save percentage in those games. Again, it's very difficult for goalies to compete for the Calder. But with the talent that the Leafs have, even if it's, there are concerns about, okay, how far are they going to be able to go? The offseason moves and such. There is still a chance that Joseph Woll could be in that finalist conversation.
I hope Joseph Woll is top 3 in Vezina voting and doesn't win the Calder. Simply because it would just show how stupid the narrative is about what the Calder should be and who it should go to, and how it for some reason it has to be someone who's very, very young instead of a rookie, like the award says.
Yeah, I've had that conversation on this show plenty of times. The idea of best young player versus outright rookie.
Yeah.
In MLB, a 31-year-old can win Rookie of the Year, and that's correct because they are a rookie. I think there should be a distinction between Rookie of the Year and best young player. I think best young player should be 23 and under, and then somebody can also be eligible to win both. Like Connor Bedard should be eligible to win Rookie of the Year and best young player.
Yeah.
At the same time, that would have solved the debate. Like a couple of years ago, it would have been Connor McDavid, best young player, but Panarin still would have won the Calder because he was the best player there and McDavid got hurt. And that would have solved a lot of the controversy over it. As it is, we haven't had a goalie win the Calder since, any guesses?
Get it, press! Number 1 goalie! No, probably, I don't, is it him?
He didn't win it. 2008, 2009.
I remember. I know what this is. It's one of the Masons.
Correct. It is Steve Mason.
Yeah. There you
For the Columbus. So Steve Mason.
Also a jar of preserves.
Since then, too, we've had 2 24-year-olds win the Calder. Artemi Panarin and Kirill Kaprizov.
They're not really rookies. They played in Russia.
Do you remember the Michael Bunting conversation?
Oh my God. If Bunting won, then fucked off to Carolina and was absolutely non-visible, it would be fucking great.
By the way, any guesses of the oldest Calder winner of all time?
It was 30 or some shit like that. I know it was before they
we're guessing what age?
Yeah.
Oh, oldest Calder winner of all time. I'm going to say 29.
32.
1989-90 for the Calgary Flames, Sergei Makarov at 31 years old.
Yeah.
Won the Calder.
You went over, Endo. Price is right rules.
Price is right rules. Sin wins.
Not just kidding. But yeah, no, you're closer, Endo.
Get fucked. The Hart Trophy for League MVP. We'll kind of tie this into the Ted Lindsay Award winner as well. Just the general best player. Right now, for my money, it's a 2-horse race. And it is between the NHL's leading scorer in Jack Hughes. Oh, God. What did Endo think of?
That caught me off guard at the fucking...
Sorry.
I missed it.
I guess Tougie didn't hear it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
But I got Endo.
Oh, fuck you. Keep going, Tougie. It's fine.
Jack Hughes and Elias Pettersson, who was at 16 points in 9 games. Hughes is at 18 in 8. Also up there in terms of scoring, you got Panarin, Larkin, Pasternak, Jesper Bratt, DeBrincat. But early doors, you're looking at Hughes or Pettersson is holy shit.
I'm looking at Hughes all the way. I'm
fair.
waiting for the Canucks to fuck up. Because until they prove otherwise, that's what they're going to do at some point in the season. The Devils are for real, dude. That young core is so sick. Hughes has so many people to pass to and so many ways he can generate offense. That's his biggest advantage over McDavid. McDavid is still obviously a much better individual player, but he's missed a couple games. He's a mutant and only somehow missed 1/4 of the time we thought he was going to miss. What the hell?
Right.
And but yeah, he could still do incredible, but I think this one, it could be really, really interesting. And I think it could kind of come down to, I don't know, I'd like to see more individuals score at higher rates, especially someone like Jack Hughes, who was much maligned in his early couple years. And I'd just love to see him come back because he's got that swagger too. He has more of a personality than most people are. We'll attribute that to him being American and being cool.
Fucking nerd ass Canadians.
Yeah, fucking terrible loft over an awesome office party.
Terrible fucking
Yeah.
gesture.
Tossers.
Fucking northern.
But yeah, it's what Hughes has been doing is so sick, and the thing that the reason why he can keep doing it is because the support cast around him is really fucking good, much better than what McDavid has. Now that what makes what McDavid does more impressive, but for most points, I think Jack Hughes has a chance to actually, get around him. I think he would have had more of a chance if McDavid actually stayed out for 2 weeks. But yeah.
Yeah, there's no way he's not playing hurt right now. I will say it. There's no way he's not playing hurt, especially for the Heritage Classic.
And the problem is, like, they need him, and that's the concern in regards to Connor McDavid. Is like, man, if he does miss significant time, fuck. Like, I mean, they dropped Adam Ernie and signed Sam Gagner. Like, they're scrambling right now, and if you don't have Connor McDavid, then you really start to wonder, like, oh shit, what's the season going to be? But then the concern is, Connor McDavid plays hurt. What the hell will he look like by the playoffs if they make it? Like, how worn down is he going to be? Because there's only so much somebody can do.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Shirelli masterclass. Shirelli Holland masterclass. Let's be honest.
Oh man, it's great. I feel bad for those guys. I feel bad for people on Edmonton. Like they signed Sam Gagner to a contract. They basically promoted them from the A to the N with a contract there, which is pretty good. Get the bag, king. But it's basically Operation Please, somebody with a pulse, help us. God damn it, we need something going on here. Because like they just got nothing. Like McDavid went out. If McDavid goes out long term, it's like, oh sweet, we get like a fuck ton of cap to deal with. But then it's like, oh shit, McDavid's out. We are now immediately in this situation where we're basically a fringe team where we should be a top team in the NHL.
I mean, if they lose McDavid, they're missing the playoffs. Plain and simple.
Yeah. Their wild card berth.
Doesn't matter how much fucking cap you get. They would be stupid if they tried to use those assets to go out and get a patchwork lineup.
What assets, though?
Exactly. Like they don't have many assets. You'd have to trade a lot of roster guys.
Like, so you still have firsts.
Yeah, first Broberg.
I was gonna say, who's gonna look at
Zach
Broberg, Holloway, Ryan McLeod as let's get those guys, because they haven't done too well in the Oilers lineup so far this season. Like, it's actively hurting their value. And in terms of that prospect pool, I don't know if Raphael Lajoie, Xavier Bourgault, I don't think there's that extreme value in your prospect pool. It's one of the more barren ones in the NHL right now. Like, they've already stretched themselves thin to be as competitive as they are now, and it hasn't been enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to lump in the Jack Adams for Coach of the Year and the Jim Gregory for GM of the Year together. And more often than not, this goes to teams that are at the top, or it's the, oh, you're better than we thought you were award. Vegas right now is the best team in the NHL by points percentage. Obviously, they didn't have to do too much with their roster. You lose Riley Smith, but replace him with Barbashev. Like, you could say, hey, good job for keeping the team together. And Bruce Cassidy will be up there for Coach of the Year because of how good they are. The Bruins, I mean, the navigation of this offseason, but in terms of big additions, it's like, well, dude, your biggest addition was Matt Poitras. Really? Yeah. Dallas was a good team that stayed good. So were the Rangers. So were the Avs. So you start to look at the team right now who find themselves in 6th in the NHL on points percentage. The Vancouver Canucks?
I was going to say them or possibly Detroit because it's such a good turnaround if they keep it up.
Like them, Montreal is up there right now with a decent win percentage.
I want to give Anaheim's coach a shout too, if they can continue to improve. I saw this really cool video of him in the locker room with the players, like after they beat the game, after he got like fucking ejected from the game for arguing with the refs. And that's really cool. Yeah, he seems like a really dope dude. It's the thickest freaking like New England accent you'll ever hear in anyone.
Greg Cronin, who is from Boston, Massachusetts, went to college right here in the state of Maine. Colby
There you
College.
go.
Too bad he didn't go to Boston University. He'd be a Sharks coach pretty soon.
There you go.
Shark. Anytime someone's from fucking Boston, Shark. Please, Macklin, please.
And for the Canucks, we joked about it, but Rick Tocchet, I mean, as the coach of that team, Patrick Allvin as the GM, I mean, the Canucks have looked better than expected, but obviously it's super early days. Yeah. I can't buy into any sort of Canucks hype train right now, that's for sure. But Thatcher Demko looks to be back, at least in his first few games of the year. 6 games, a .935 save percentage. So it helps to have your supposed to be franchise level goalie actually
give him
playing.
A legacy Calder.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hey, they gave out a legacy Norris once.
They did.
Go fuck yourself, Drew Doughty. I still remember, bitch. The meme's not dead.
Oh, God. We'll go to the Vezina here before wrapping up with the Norris, because we just talked about that Demko, obviously. Right now, in terms of the goalie that has the best save percentage with more than one appearance, Jonathan Quick.
Attaboy, Quickie!
Quick, who has...
is it just 2 appearances?
He has 3 appearances with a .982 save percentage. Stopping
what a boy! What a boy!
3 games? Oh, 3
shutouts.
Stopping 56 with 57.
He has 2 starts, though.
Okay.
Yeah, so 1 shutout. Okay. Yeah.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
There you go, Quickie.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll get credit, but 4 appearances from Jeremy Swayman so far, a .957 save percentage. For the not future Shark, Jeremy Swayman.
Bullshit. He should have been a Shark. He's still a Shark.
You have Joseph Wall up the Shark. Jeremy Swayman, University of Maine. So, not a Boston
guy. Don't care. Close enough. I associate Maine with Boston now anyway, because of you, Tougie.
Fair enough. Fair. You have Joseph Wall up there. Jake Ottinger's been really good to start the year. Linus Allmark. LOL, the Bruins have goalies with a .957 and a .939 save percentage so far this year.
What was that Vegas you said? Sorry, I missed that for a second.
Swayman has a .957.
Oh, yeah,
Allmark has a .939.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't think Vegas was that good because they fucked me over in fantasy the other week.
Logan Thompson's been good. You have Demko up there. There's a lot of goalies who have actually done really, really well at the start of the year. Obviously, again, too damn close to call at this stage.
Yeah, super.
But I think both Bruins goalies have a pretty damn good chance of being in that conversation again. Allmark won it last year, and it's definitely been
split
more...
the Jennings, man. Like, that's not unheard of. I don't know if 2 goalies can win the Vezina, though. That has...
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
But they can split the Jennings.
They did last year. And they might very well do it again this year. It's my presumption. And then that brings us to the Norris Trophy for the start of this season. And right now, from the points perspective, there are 2 at 11 points. That would be Adam Fox.
Mm-hmm.
I thought someone was going to yell overrated.
No, he's an offensive defenseman.
And for my money, the front runner right now, Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those Hughes boys, they're looking pretty damn good so far.
Hey, the Hughes boys better start learning to kick that puck.
See?
Yeah, see?
Or grow some wings.
Canceled. Referencing that show. Canceled.
Early, it's Hughes. 100%. Like the way he's really taken over that like Canucks team in so many ways, like as a captain, but also, proving it out there on the ice, especially with so many questions surrounding them, not as strong as a roster on paper as the Rangers have. Like, you got to now, like, that doesn't count to who wins it, but he's who I'm looking at right now, because if he really becomes like a leader and really continues to play at the level that he's playing at right now and doesn't take the Suzuki curve, then he can absolutely would have a shot at that Norris. And people can suck it. I mean, again, when they talk about two-way and try to bring Fox into that, because he's ass in his own end. I said it.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Like I said, a lot of those races are pretty close to call. The last thing I kind of wanted to mention, just because there's not too much you could say about it, but it is worth acknowledging. A big loss for the Washington Capitals, as forward Nick Backstrom announced today that he was going to take a step back from the team, just due to his health and injury status. He's coming off of another couple set of injuries. Really, I mean, it's been difficult. It's a pretty rough spot that they're going to find themselves in. I mean, he had 1 point in 8 games so far this season. But at 35 years old, under contract this year and next at $9.2 million per. And it's never a good sign to have a player just being like, I need to step away. I mean, we saw it with Jonathan Taves, who wasn't playing this year. He didn't say the word retire, but it would be surprising to see him back.
Put him in a boonie cap on a beach and shirtless, and maybe he'll retire then.
Oh man, I saw that.
I would love to see his fucking stoic ass do a Jumbo retirement announcement. Hey guys, it was a good period. Wait. Anyway,
John here.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Jonathan Taves, one of the 100 greatest players of all time.
I'm John Taves. I knew. I retired. Yeah.
Fuck me. I mean, come on. You don't have to say it. You didn't have to go there.
You're not wrong.
You're really going to tell me I'm wrong?
Oh.
It's like my tweet today. It was just like, oh, the news about the thing happened with the Ottawa Senators. I'm like, you already know what I'm going to say, so I'm not even going to say it.
No, go ahead.
I didn't know what you were gonna
the quote was, the NHL says Senators will forfeit a first-round pick. And my response was, I don't even have to say it, but you already know what I'm about to say. And it's just Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Chicago,
Okay.
yeah.
The Ottawa Senators have been docked a first-round pick. Coincidentally, Chicago gets an extra one. From the offices of Gary Bettman.
You can have it. That's great.
This is for having to suffer any years without making the playoffs.
This is for the
rough.
Yeah.
Man. Great.
Gentlemen, with that, anything left to add, or are we are we good for today?
I mean, we touched on it, but we didn't get to the quote, and because Endo went off into a really bad ad read. But William Nylander. I'm gonna pull up the quote because we don't have it here. It was brilliant. He had an interview. This was the shirtless interview that we were talking about earlier. He was asked, like, do how you feel like you're taking your game to another level? And his response is the most king shit. And I'm gonna read it.
All right.
I'm just doing the thing that I have for the past couple years, but it's nice that you think I've hit a new level.
He's such a fucking legend.
I love him. First of all, fuck you to the Toronto media and shit, and everyone who hasn't given him his flowers over the past bunch of years. And now he's like, all right, you're not going to pay me. I'm going to go even harder than I have before because I'm continuing to get. He's still a young guy. Like, and there's this weird narrative of, oh, here he goes trying in his contract year. Motherfucker, he's what, 26?
He's always been like that.
He's continued to develop. Like, and yeah, maybe. I'm sure that's part of it, that he's more inspired, but also I'm sure he's tired of losing too. And if, the Maple Leafs aren't going to pay him, he's going to get a shitload in free agency. But yeah, good for him for sticking it to basically everyone by doing that and saying that. And good for him for recognizing what you do, William Nylander. The most important part of your journey in life is loving yourself and fucking killing it, man.
Our Swedish king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Well,
Drömset as älskling.
Excuse me.
Yes.
With that. With that, we will look to wind things down here, potentially for this week. Who the hell knows at this rate? Again, we weren't planning on recording this show until Thursday, but hey, things happen to happen. So we'll continue to follow along. It is worth noting, of course, that next week there will be just one show at the start of the week because this simp's going on a little mini honeymoon for a couple of days. So I'll be gone for the back half of next week. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the next few days. In case we do not see all of you until after the weekend, we thank you, of course, for listening to the show, for watching the show, supporting us here on the podcast. And well, if you want to support one Endo Mills even more directly, Endurance M, where can they go?
You can go to twitch.tv/EnduranceM, ENDORANCEM, and you can follow me on Twitter at ENDORANCEM, and you can follow me on YouTube at ENDORANCEM. I think on YouTube I'm still just Endo.
You are, but I have you featured on my channel.
Oh wow, thank you. I appreciate that. I won't upload for another year.
You make me look like shit for not uploading. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I haven't figured out what to do. I've been busy, man. You know, life sucks. Everything's great. But yeah, I'm hopefully gonna be streaming more on Twitch, so follow me there. And yeah, I don't have a Movember thing. I wanted to do a Movember thing, but a buddy on my team is doing a Movember campaign. I will get the information for it and I will share it for you guys because Movember.
Can we please put a chevron below his webcam of all of while he's talking about his friend, just advertising my stuff also, and say due to time constraints also follow Sin. Be the funniest fucking thing. Cutting into my promo time, bitch. People have clicked off now. Thanks.
No, they haven't. They're still there. They're still there.
Yeah, follow me on YouTube and Twitter for bangers, by the way, and then also occasionally me getting ratioed by burners.
For the record, I do believe Sin is shadow banned on Twitter. Because I'm pretty sure he is. Because if I go to the little search feature and type in Sin for the Win Prod, he does not show up.
Oh,
so there is a chance that Sin is shadow banned.
FTW Prod.
But so yeah, Twitter.com/SinFTWProd. You will find him there directly. But yeah, he might be shadow banned through the search feature.
Shit, do I have to spend $8 to get rid of that?
Probably.
Twitter shadow ban test. Let's go.
I wish I cared.
Username.
Oh, goodness. You guys know where to find me at this point. Everywhere. Tougie24. You know the deal. Yeah. With that, we love you guys. We will see you either later on this week or next week. Time will tell. Depends on how much Michael Anlauer wants to continue to absolutely roast the NHL.